The air in Vienna, in the early decades of the 20th century, practically hummed with intellectual fervor. This was the city of Freud, of Klimt, of Mahler, a crucible of ideas, art, and groundbreaking thought. And it was here, in this vibrant yet increasingly volatile heart of Central Europe, that Viktor Frankl began his extraordinary journey. Born in 1905 into a Jewish family, Frankl was no ordinary child. Even in his adolescence, while his peers were consumed by youthful pursuits, Frankl grappled with questions that most adults shy away from: the meaning of life, the nature of suffering, and the human will to exist. He was a thinker, a seeker, driven by an insatiable curiosity about the depths of the human psyche. Frankl's early intellectual leanings were profoundly shaped by the giants of Viennese psychiatry. Sigmund Freud and Alfred Adler, with their revolutionary theories on the unconscious and the individual's striving for power, were inescapable influences. Frankl, however, quickly found himself charting his own course. While he acknowledged the profound contributions of psychoanalysis and individual psychology, he felt something fundamental was missing. He observed that even in the face of profound psychological distress, many individuals possessed an innate drive to find purpose, a will to meaning that transcended mere pleasure-seeking or power dynamics. This nascent idea, this intuition about the human spirit's fundamental orientation towards meaning, would become the cornerstone of his life's work. Imagine Frankl as a young medical student, poring over texts, but always with an eye to the real world, to the lived experiences of his patients. He saw beyond symptoms, recognizing the existential void that often lay beneath anxiety and depression. He began to develop a unique therapeutic approach, one that focused not just on what was wrong with a person, but on what was right, on their inherent capacity for growth and self-transcendence. He believed that even in the most challenging circumstances, human beings retained the freedom to choose their attitude, to find a reason to live. This was a radical departure from the prevailing deterministic views of the time. Yet as Frankl's ideas blossomed, the political landscape around him grew increasingly bleak. The golden age of Vienna was fading, replaced by the ominous shadows of Nazism. The intellectual and cultural vibrancy that had nurtured his early development was being systematically dismantled. As a Jew, Frankl became acutely aware of the escalating persecution. His medical career, his academic aspirations, and indeed his very existence were now under direct threat. The philosophical questions that had driven him from a young age were no longer abstract concepts. They were becoming stark, brutal realities. How does one find meaning when the world around you is collapsing? What happens to the human spirit when stripped of everything? These questions, once theoretical, would soon demand answers born from the most unimaginable suffering. Despite the growing danger, Frankl's commitment to his patients and his research remained unwavering. He treated individuals grappling with despair, often providing them with the very framework for meaning that he himself would soon desperately need. He published his early works, laying the groundwork for what would later be known as logotherapy. This period, before the full horror of the war descended, was a testament to his foresight and his unwavering belief in the human spirit. It was a period of intellectual flourishing overshadowed by a looming catastrophe, a dramatic contrast that would define the rest of his life and shape the profound insights he would ultimately share with the world. The year is 1942. The vibrant intellectual life of Vienna, and indeed much of Europe, had been brutally extinguished. For Viktor Frankl, the abstract philosophical questions he had pondered in his youth were about to be answered in the most visceral, agonizing way imaginable. He, his wife, and his parents were deported to the Theresienstadt ghetto, a precursor to the extermination camps. This was just the beginning of a descent into an abyss that few have ever truly comprehended. Frankel's journey through the concentration camps, Theresienstadt, Auschwitz, Kaufering, and Turkheim, was a harrowing testament to human cruelty and the unyielding will to survive. Imagine the unimaginable: starvation, frostbite, disease, forced labor, and the constant suffocating presence of death. Frankel witnessed the systematic dehumanization of millions, including his own family. His pregnant wife, his parents, and his brother all perished in the Holocaust. He lost everything a man could hold dear: his family, his home, his life's work. A manuscript he had hidden in the lining of his coat was confiscated and destroyed.
What separated those who survived, not just physically, but spiritually, from those who succumbed to despair. This became Frankel's grim, involuntary laboratory. He observed that even amidst the horror, some prisoners, despite their physical debilitation, maintained a sense of purpose. A doctor might continue to secretly tend to the sick. A person might share their meager ration with another, or someone might find solace in remembering a loved one. These were not acts of defiance against the guards, but acts of internal resistance, affirmations of an inviolable inner freedom. Frankel himself clung to these small but significant threads of meaning. He found purpose in secretly helping his fellow prisoners, offering what little medical or psychological support he could. He imagined himself lecturing after the war, sharing the lessons learned from this unimaginable suffering. He held on to the image of his wife, believing, hoping that she might still be alive. These mental constructs, these acts of internal resistance, were not escapism. They were survival mechanisms, proving his burgeoning theory that while everything external can be taken away, the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, remains. Consider the profound psychological impact of life in the camps. Prisoners were reduced to numbers, their individuality stripped away. Hunger gnawed at their bodies. Fear consumed their minds. Yet Frankel observed moments of profound human connection, of self-sacrifice, of humor even. He saw prisoners who, despite being physically weaker, seemed to possess an inner strength, a why to live that carried them through moments when others simply gave up. It was in these extreme conditions that Frankel's central idea that life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable ones, was forged in the crucible of his own suffering. He wasn't just surviving, he was observing, analyzing, and proving through his own terrifying experience the indomitable nature of the human spirit when anchored by meaning. This was the raw, unvarnished truth that would become the foundation of logotherapy, a testament to resilience born from the depths of despair. Emerging from the depths of the concentration camps, a survivor, both physically and spiritually scarred, Viktor Frankl did not succumb to bitterness or despair. Instead, he transformed his unimaginable suffering into a profound philosophical and therapeutic system, logotherapy. This was not merely an academic pursuit. It was a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience, forged in the crucible of his own experience. Logotherapy, often referred to as the Third Viennese School of Psychotherapy, after Freud's psychoanalysis and Adler's individual psychology, posits that the primary motivational force in human beings is a will to meaning. Unlike Freud's emphasis on the will to pleasure, or Adler's will to power, Frankl argued that humans are fundamentally driven by a search for purpose and significance. This search is not a luxury, it is a fundamental need. When this need is frustrated, individuals experience what Frankl termed existential vacuum, a feeling of emptiness and meaninglessness that can manifest as boredom, apathy, and even lead to neuroses like depression and aggression. He observed this phenomenon not only in the post-war era, but also in his patience in pre-war Vienna, recognizing that even in times of material abundance, a lack of meaning could be profoundly debilitating. The core tenets of logotherapy are deceptively simple, but yet profoundly impactful. First, Frankl asserted that life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable ones. This was his most radical and hard-won insight from the camps. Even when faced with unavoidable suffering, such as illness, loss, or the horrors of a concentration camp, humans retain the freedom to choose their attitude towards that suffering. This freedom of will is the second cornerstone. While external circumstances may be beyond our control, our internal response is always within our grasp. It is in this space of choice that meaning can be found.
Frankl's approach was deeply humanistic. He believed that therapy should not just focus on alleviating symptoms, but on helping individuals discover their unique purpose. He would challenge his patients to reflect on their values, their responsibilities, and the unique contributions they can make to the world. He encouraged them to look beyond themselves, to find a transcendent meaning that would give their lives direction and resilience. His work was not about denying pain, but about transforming it, about finding a why that would enable one to bear almost any how. Through logotherapy, Frankl offered a powerful antidote to the despair of the modern age, a path to purpose even in a world that often seems devoid of it. The mid-20th century, scarred by 2 world wars and the chilling specter of the atomic age, gave rise to a profound sense of disillusionment and existential angst. In this landscape, Viktor Frankl's message, born from the crucible of unimaginable suffering, resonated deeply. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, published in 1946, became a beacon for millions. It wasn't just a memoir of his time in concentration camps. It was a powerful articulation of logotherapy, a philosophy that dared to suggest meaning could be found even in the bleakest of circumstances. Today, in an increasingly complex and often overwhelming world, Frankl's insights are more relevant than ever. Consider the pervasive issues of our time: widespread anxiety, depression, and a sense of pervasive emptiness, particularly among younger generations. Despite unprecedented material comfort for many, there's often an underlying feeling that something essential is missing. Frankl would argue that this is precisely the existential vacuum he identified. When traditional sources of meaning, such as religion, community, or even stable careers, erode, individuals are left adrift, grappling with a lack of purpose. Logotherapy offers a powerful antidote to this modern malaise. It shifts the focus from what life gives you to what life demands of you, encouraging individuals to identify their unique responsibilities and contributions. Frankl's emphasis on responsibility and self-transcendence is particularly potent in our hyper-individualistic society. While self-care and personal well-being are important, an exclusive focus on the self can paradoxically lead to greater unhappiness. Frankl posited that true fulfillment comes from looking beyond oneself, from dedicating oneself to a cause greater than personal gain, or by loving another human being. This could manifest as engaging in meaningful work, volunteering, pursuing a passion, or nurturing deep relationships. His philosophy encourages us to ask not what do I want from life, but what does life want from me? A shift in perspective that empowers us to find purpose in any situation. Moreover, Frankl's work provides a framework for understanding and processing suffering. In a world that often seeks to avoid or numb pain, logotherapy acknowledges suffering as an inherent part of the human condition. It doesn't romanticize it, but rather offers a radical proposition that even unavoidable suffering can be transformed into an opportunity for growth and meaning. By choosing our attitude towards suffering, by finding a higher purpose within it, example, developing compassion, resilience, or character, we can transcend its destructive power. This perspective is invaluable for individuals grappling with chronic illness, loss, or any form of adversity, offering a path not just to coping, but to thriving despite hardship. From therapy rooms to corporate boardrooms,
Frankl's ideas have permeated various fields. Therapists utilize logotherapy to help clients find direction and overcome existential crises. Educators inspire students to discover their unique talents and responsibilities. Leaders are reminded that true motivation stems from a shared sense of purpose. In essence, Frankl's legacy is a timeless reminder that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, the human spirit possesses an extraordinary capacity to find meaning, to choose hope, and to reaffirm life itself. The story of Viktor Frankl is far more than a historical account of survival. It is a profound testament to the enduring power of hope and the human spirit's unwavering capacity to find meaning even in the most desolate of landscapes. Frankl, having lost everything, his family, his home, his early life's work, emerged from the camps not broken, but refined, with a message that continues to resonate across generations. He proved, through his own harrowing existence, that while suffering is an undeniable part of life, it does not have to define us. Instead, it can become a catalyst for growth, a forge for resilience. Frankl's ultimate legacy lies in his radical reaffirmation of life itself. He taught us that meaning isn't something granted to us by external circumstances. It is something we discover and embrace through our choices, our attitudes, and our responsibilities. Even when faced with conditions that strip away all dignity and freedom, the final freedom, the freedom to choose one's attitude, remains inviolable. This insight transforms the concept of suffering from a purely negative experience into a potential opportunity for profound self-discovery and a deeper connection to what truly matters. It's about finding the why that empowers us to bear almost any how. His life was a living embodiment of his philosophy. After his liberation, Frankl dedicated his life to sharing the insights gleaned from his suffering. He rebuilt his professional life, becoming a world-renowned psychiatrist, author, and lecturer. He taught, wrote, and traveled tirelessly, advocating for logotherapy as a universal message of hope and responsibility. His work provided a crucial counterpoint to the nihilistic tendencies of the post-war era, reminding humanity of its inherent dignity and capacity for transcendence. He showed us that even when external circumstances are beyond our control, our inner world remains a sanctuary where meaning can be cultivated and hope can flourish. When in grappling with feelings of powerlessness and despair, Frankl's message is an urgent call to action. It challenges us to look beyond superficial pleasures and material possessions, to confront the existential questions of our lives, and to proactively seek out what gives our existence purpose. Whether it's through the love we share, the work we create, or the courage with which we face adversity, meaning is always accessible. It is the thread that weaves through the fabric of our lives, giving it strength and coherence. Ultimately, Frankl's journey from the golden streets of Vienna to the gates of Auschwitz and back again serves as an eternal reminder that life, in all its complexity and suffering, is inherently meaningful. Our task is not to question life, but to answer it, to embrace our freedom and responsibility, to find our unique purpose, and to cultivate that inner spark of hope, knowing that even in the face of the greatest darkness, the human spirit, anchored by meaning, can not only survive, but truly thrive. If Frankl's profound journey and his revolutionary ideas on finding meaning have resonated with you, please consider liking this video, sharing it with those who might benefit from its message, and subscribing to our channel, Frankl's Insight, for more explorations into his enduring wisdom. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the insights that shape our understanding of the human spirit.